AIR 12 sounds surreal. जब नाम देखा था रिजल्ट में तो फर्स्ट रिएक्शन क्या?
When I was preparing for the exam, my goal was to get AIR 1 itself.
So what was your strategy when you first decided कि IPMAT ही करना है?
Exam के I believe 15 days पहले I gave a mock, and एक mock में I scored some 280 something, and suddenly the very next mock I scored a 180.
What is that one thing that aspirants should stop doing?
Keeping a timer, say 45 sums करने हैं, तो keeping a 1 hour timer and doing it under time pressure is something that I advise.
If not IIM Indore, what was the backup plan? Like,
रवि सर का जो पढ़ाने का स्टाइल है, the way he goes about explaining the concept, बीच बीच में किसी को भी मतलब डांट दिया, मतलब मजाक में, तो आई थिंक दैट थोड़ा वो इमोशनली आई थिंक थोड़ा अच्छा था कि हाँ मजा आई, क्लास भी देखा, मतलब सारे कंसेप्ट भी समझे, बट मजा भी आई.
all right, welcome to Rodha IPMAT Podcast. स्टोरीज मिलती हैं उन स्टूडेंट्स की जिन्होंने सिर्फ एग्जाम क्रैक नहीं किया बट ऑल्सो फिगर्ड आउट हाउ टू प्ले द लॉन्ग गेम. टुडेज गेस्ट इज समवन जिनका नाम टॉपर्स की लिस्ट में नहीं, सीधा टॉप 15 में. AIR 12 इन IPMAT 2025. प्लीज वेलकम श्रेनिक वैद्या.
थैंक यू फॉर हैविंग मी सर.
So Shrenik, AIR 12 sounds surreal, right? तो पहले तो एक ऑनेस्ट कन्फेशन, जब नाम देखा था रिजल्ट में तो फर्स्ट रिएक्शन क्या?
इफ एज यू सजेस्टेड कि ऑनेस्ट कन्फेशन चाहिए, तो माय व्हेन आई वाज प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर द एग्जाम, माय गोल वाज टू गेट AIR 1 इटसेल्फ. तो एक सेकंड के लिए थोड़ा डिसअपॉइंटमेंट था कि सिंगल डिजिट रैंक नहीं आया, बट देन अगेन AIR 12 था. गेटिंग इनटू अ कॉलेज लाइक IIM Indore right after 12th, the surreal wala feeling I believe set in a moment later, but it did set in first.
I really love that confidence कि यार you've been preparing for 2 years and AIR 1 का ही goal था, but of course AIR 12 is also not bad at the same
Right.
time. I think a lot of people would want to know कि जब 2 साल पहले जर्नी शुरू की थी, was the vision only for IIM Indore कि यार IPMAT क्रैक करके IIM Indore ही जाना?
Yes sir, at least जब start किया था, my main goal was to get into IIM Indore itself. It has always been to get into the best thing that I could possibly get into in my field. And when I took up commerce, I had an interest in finance and entrepreneurship since my 6th grade. And it is then that I decided in 10th standard I wanted to take up commerce. In 10th, I had scored a 97% in my 10th boards. So people are questioning why take up commerce, why not go for science when you've gotten the percentage. But I knew that this is a path that I want to follow, and engineering, NEET, etc. did not appeal to me that much. And it is then that I decided ki okay, I'm taking up commerce, but I will ensure that I do not let myself go astray going on to parties. वो सब I refrain from that. I ensured कि ठीक है, commerce background में what is the best thing I could possibly get into, and the top names obviously were IIM Indore itself. So it is then that I decided कि ठीक है, अब तो इसमें ही जाना है. And it is that burning desire कि इसमें ही जाना है. And assuming as if only one seat was there, the preparation was कि एक ही seat है और वो मेरी है. And I think now that looking back, I think all that effort paid off, and I'm really grateful.
That's great, yaar. I really love that clarity that you had in mind right from class 10th, that you wanted to do this course, integrated program in management from IIM Indore, or you took commerce because you knew कि यार जो commerce के subjects होंगे that will interest you, and you be better prepared for such a course that you're going to do. In fact, I also remember like when I got a good marks in class 10th. So it used to be like back in our school, जो क्लास 11th में साइंस एंड कॉमर्स सेक्शन होते हैं, तो साइंस सेक्शन पहले पढ़ता था, राइट, एंड कॉमर्स उसके बाद होता, राइट. तो फर्स्ट डे इनटू क्लास 11 I went past the science section, and people were in disbelief कि यार ये what kind of मैं किस टाइप का मजाक कर रहा हूँ ये चीज कि मैं आगे जा रहा हूँ. पीपल थॉट कि यार ठीक है मजाक है, अभी जा रहा है, he'll come back. Day 1 went, day 2 went, and I stayed in commerce because I also knew कि I wanted to do something in that field only.
Right.
So yeah, I think when we have that clarity in mind, I think there we get a lot of interesting stories
Right.
built around all those things. So do you have any such interesting story related to when you chose commerce after class 10th?
Interesting stories. The one that I do remember is कि my friends and my closest friends, they started questioning कि commerce क्यों लिया, even if you've gotten the marks again. And it is then that I explained कि ये करना है. And then suddenly वो polar opposite reaction था कि oh this is मतलब ऐसा इंदौर आईपीएम कोर्स भी है, एंड दैट इज समथिंग which is about the IPM course. It is very less known in that regard. The number of prestige तो I believe same ही है, but the number of students participating in say JEE की 15-16 लाख लोग बैठे, नीट में इतने सारे लोग बैठे, relatively the people sitting for the IPMAT exam is pretty low in that regard. That is somewhere because वो awareness नहीं है कि एक तो पहला कि वो clear नहीं होता कि कॉमर्स लेना है बाय चॉइस, एंड वो नॉट बाय फोर्स वाला, बट रादर गोइंग इन देयर बाय चॉइस एंड हैविंग द क्लैरिटी कि ठीक है ये करना है, एंड देन नोइंग कि ऐसा एक कोर्स भी है. आई थिंक वो अवेयरनेस इश्यूज है थोड़े रिगार्डिंग दिस एग्जाम, बट now year on year the number of people giving the exam are increasing, the awareness in general is increasing. Even when big players like Rodha coming into the IPMAT space is a testament to the same thing. तो आई थी कि वो अवेयरनेस वाला जो है ना, तो लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू हैविंग मोर अवेयरनेस फॉर दिस प्रोग्राम, क्योंकि मुझे ग्रेजुएट करना है. बट अगेन प्रोग्राम वाइज आई एम इंदौर का जो प्रेस्टीज है, दैट इज समथिंग, एंड वो इंदौर को.
Yeah, that's really true when you talked about IPMET awareness, because I think nowadays still like people have started to discover IPMET now, right? But अभी भी कुछ स्टूडेंट्स होते हैं जिनको पता ही नहीं होता 12 के बाद कि they can directly go into an IIM, right?
Right.
We get to hear a lot about CAT and other examinations जिनके थ्रू हम टॉप 20 स्कूल्स में जाते हैं, but that too after graduation, right?
Right.
When we come into class 9th, 10th and 11th, we get to hear a lot about all these things. But वेरी फ्यू पीपल गेट टू नो कि यार 12th के बाद भी IIM पॉसिबल है, right?
Right.
Through all these programs that a lot of B schools are now introducing and offering, such as IIM Indore, IIM Rohtak, IIM Ranchi, and all those B schools who have started their respective IPM programs, right? What do you feel we can make awareness about this particular examination, this particular course, given that still I think it's been uh, close to 14 15 years
Hmm.
of this program, right?
Yes.
And still we see the number of test takers every year for IPMET examinations is close to 25,000, I must say.
25. Yes, sir.
So how do you feel that people can get awareness about this particular course, and why this course is particularly important and good, so that they can also try to get into this program?
I think, see, the when you're clearly laying the benefits in front of the students there, I think that would help them make a rational choice and possibly getting their intentions clear as to whether they want to go into such a program or not. The IPM program, even though it is a 3+2 program, I think there are two things that I like most about the program. The first thing is वो holistic program है. So even though it teaches वो the core subjects of economics, statistics, maths, etc., but along with that it also goes for social science के subjects, say psychology है, philosophy है. They also teach these subjects along with the core ones, and that somewhere वो holistic development वाला approach is something that intrigued me a lot. So having that on the platter ki theek hai, this IPM program is there and they're having these many subjects, and probably basing the awareness about that rather than just saying कि हाँ ये इंदौर IIM में जा सकते हैं 12th के बाद, but actually getting the students clarity as to what lies ahead of them, and hence intriguing their minds कि हाँ ठीक है, you're getting to learn so much in a 5-year program. I also saw a video in which the person talked about hotel, I etiquettes something, etiquette management, and Indore apparently takes you to a 5-star hotel to test the etiquettes, and it is all about, no, I don't think any other college, at least in the undergraduate space, would possibly take you to a 5-star hotel to test your etiquettes, and that is something that you get from the IPM program. And I see मतलब वो clarity wise, if you're giving them this, if you're letting them know कि this lies ahead of you, I think that would be a great way to create awareness of the program and hence bolster the support and the participation in these games.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, Shrenik, let's talk about your decision, your journey of preparation for IPMET, right? So, what was your strategy when you first decided कि IPMET ही करना है? You want to secure AIR 1 in IPMET, get that one seat in this program, in this course, right? How did you start? What all things did you plan for, and what all things that you continued till the time you got a very good All India rank in the examination?
Sir, my preparation started 11th May. It is then that I started rigorously studying for the exam. I knew of the exam way before that. I was in ninth grade when I first heard of the exam. But मैं थोड़ा I believe preparation background में start किया था. But actually rigorous actual preparation I started it in 11th itself. And since it is unlike CAT, इसमें we have only two sections, quants and VA. Quants has bifurcation another two sections, so total three sections. But we do not have a separate section for LRDI. So I started with quants majorly. English has been sort of a forte for me, and that was not worrying at first. So my at first I focused on quant itself. I went through the syllabus that they had, and I started with arithmetic. That is what usually people start with, क्योंकि वो सारे subjects और वो सारे chapters 10th तक किए होते हैं, percentage profit and loss, so it's familiar territory है, तो उससे ही start करते हैं, and I did the same. I had joined फर्स्ट, तो उसमें आई वेंट थ्रू दी मॉड्यूल्स एंड वर्कबुक्स एंड वो सब सॉल्व कर लिया, बट समवेयर आई फेल्ट कि और मुझे रिसोर्स चाहिए और प्रोबेबली मुझे डीपर जाना है, स्पेशली लेट्स से यू टॉकिंग अबाउट चैप्टर्स लाइक टाइम स्पीड डिस्टेंस में देयर इज इतना वास्ट है कि you couldn't possibly cover everything, but you try to do so. Arithmetic में it is then that I got introduced to Rodha. एक faculty थे हमारे, and उन्होंने बोला था कि you want tough questions, so रोजा करके है, उसकी वीडियोस देखना. एंड इट इज एक्चुअली देन दैट आई स्टार्टेड विथ रोदा, से ही स्टार्ट किया था. एंड द 10-15 वीडियोस दैट वर देयर, सब देखे, एंड वो आई बिलीव दैट लेवल ऑफ कंसेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी उसके पहले आई हैडंट रिसीव्ड अर्लियर. नो डिसरेस्पेक्ट टू द कोचिंग सेंटर, बट वो आई बिलीव द नंबर ऑफ वो क्वेश्चन टाइप्स जितने कवर किए, द अमाउंट की फॉर्मूला सर टच ही नहीं करते थे. रादर इट गो डीपर इनटू द कॉन्सेप्ट, एंड फॉर्मूला के बिना मतलब इट ऑल मेड लॉजिकल सेंस कि वो फॉर्मूला की जरूरत नहीं थी. एंड समवेयर उसकी वजह से आई बिगैन कि ठीक है, अब तो इस चैनल को ही मतलब लेट्स ट्राई टू कवर ऑल द वीडियोस दैट सर हैज पोस्टेड. एंड आई वेंट थ्रू नंबर सिस्टम किया, एल्जेब्रा के इतने सारे वीडियोस थे वो कवर किए, एंड स्लोली एंड ग्रेजुअली मुझे लगा कि हाँ, आई बिलीव दिस इज द परफेक्ट रिसोर्स फॉर आईपी मैट एज वेल, क्योंकि the concepts that were tested in say CAT जो सर पढ़ाते थे, I think majority of those concepts were tested in IPMAT itself. So that there was a turning point in my personal preparation, क्योंकि before that अब अरुण शर्मा थी तो I would solve LOD 1 questions, एंड उससे मैं खुश हो जाता था कि ठीक है, यही तो है, ये तो आता है. एंड इट इज देन दैट आई गॉट टू नो कि सर कितने लेवल के क्वेश्चंस करवा, एंड दैट लेवल व्हेन यू आर गोइंग फ्रॉम एलओडी 1 टू डायरेक्टली रवि सर लेवल, वो ड्रास्टिक शिफ्ट तो होता है, बट इट इज सपोर्टेड बाय कंसेप्ट दैट सर प्रोवाइड्स थ्रू आउट. एंड वो आई बिलीव आई फेल इन लव विथ कि हाँ, ये करना है, एंड it actually made me interested in studying quants. एंड इवन दो प्रेपरेशन में बहुत पढ़ा है, बट इट नेवर फेल्ट लाइक अ चोर कि हाँ आज पढ़ना पड़ेगा. रादर आई लुक फॉरवर्ड कि हाँ आज रवि सर से अलजेब्रा पढ़ते हैं, ज्योमेट्री पढ़ते हैं, कि ट्राइंगल्स इतने सारे वीडियोस किए, एंड दैट इज समवेयर आई बिलीव अ टर्निंग पॉइंट इन माय जर्नी. लेटर ऑन दो आई बिलीव मैंने फिर उनका वो पोर्टल वो पे उन कोर्स रिलीज किया था, तो आई जॉइन द कोर्स, एंड इट इज देन दैट आई मतलब वो पूरा रोजा प्लेटफॉर्म था, अच्छे से एवरी क्वेश्चन के टॉपिक टेस्ट है, एंड देन आई बिगन सॉल्विंग दोज वरादर इवन डीपर लेक्चर्स बाय रवि सर हिमसेल्फ. तो वो सारे देखे, वो क्वेश्चन सॉल्व किए, so it is then that I got even more conceptual clarity, and वो time pressure के all of that combined I believe was one of the main reasons that I got into Indore. And coming to the second part of my preparation, the VA part, तो थोड़ा पहले से थोड़ा नेग्लेक्ट किया था कि आई थॉट मैं अच्छा हूँ, बट मैंने एक्चुअली स्टार्टेड गिविंग मार्क्स, आई रियलाइज कि ठीक है, बोलना करना तो आता है, बट आई एम नॉट दैट गुड एट VA, एंड इट इज समवेयर विच इज वेरी स्कोरिंग कि पहले से प्रिपेयर किया है अच्छे से भी है, तो इट इज अ वेरी ऑर्गेनिक प्रोसेस ऑफ सॉर्ट्स. एंड एट द एंड ऑफ द डे मैंने एग्जाम में VA में ही बहुत मार्क्स पुल किए थे, विच लेड मी टू द AIR रैंकिंग. तो आई बिगैन फोकसिंग ऑन VA ऑल्सो कि हाँ ठीक है, ये करना पड़ेगा, दिस इज समथिंग विच नीड्स प्रैक्टिस. एंड आई बिलीव लेटर हाफ ऑफ द ट्वेल्थ में, सेकेंड हाफ ऑफ ट्वेल्थ में मैंने स्टार्ट किया था अच्छे से रिगरसली VA करना, एंड वो सब कल्मिनेशन होके एंड में सब रिवीजन अच्छे से किया, एंड आई कुड गेट इनटू इंदौर.
That's great, yeah. I think it's a very unique approach that Ravi sir and entire Rodha team follows in order to explain the concepts, especially when you talked about, let's say, quant, right? And in fact, not just for quant, for other subjects also, we've been focusing a lot on our content, on our delivering style, the approach that we use to deliver the content for the benefits of the students who are preparing for such examinations. तो श्रेणिका थोड़ा थोड़ा थ्रो बैक करते हैं, मतलब अभी तो you have secured AII 12, right? You are going into the course of your dreams, right? You dreamt of it like since at least 2 years कि यार
Yes.
IPM में जाना है. All preparation done, एग्जाम हो गया, इंटरव्यूज हो गया, एवरीथिंग इज डन. बट थ्रो बैक टू योर प्रेपरेशन जर्नी, ऐसा फेज या मोमेंट था जब लगा हो कि यार हो पाएगा या नहीं, बिकॉज यू हैव सेट फॉर योर सेल्फ अ वेरी वेरी हाई टारगेट कि यार एक सीट होगी तो आई रियली वांट टू सिक्योर AIR 1.
Actually, I do not want to sound cocky, but I did not have कि वो वाला phase कि नहीं होगा क्या होगा, because somewhere I knew कि I am preparing my hardest and I was getting the mock scores as well. I मतलब उससे validation मिलता था कि ठीक है अच्छे scores आ रहे हैं. I am easily able to clear the cutoffs. I gave a couple of past year papers as well. उसमें बहुत अच्छे scores आए. एंड मेरे कोचिंग में एंड मेरे फ्रेंड ग्रुप में आई वाज मतलब वैसे नहीं बट आई वाज एबल टू गेट द क्वेश्चंस राइट इन क्लास इंश्योरिंग कि आई नो द कॉन्सेप्ट्स वेल प्रैक्टिस अच्छी थी तो समवेयर आई डिड नॉट हैव दैट फेज ऑफ कि मेरा नहीं होगा आई हैड अ कपल ऑफ लो मार्क्स स्कोर्स ऑफ कोर्स बट आई कुडंट आई डिड नॉट रिलेट इट टू कि ठीक है लो मार्क्स स्कोर आया मीन्स कि मेरा नहीं होगा रादर कि हाँ ठीक है इसमें थोड़ी सिली मिस्टेक्स हो गई एनालाइजिंग ठीक से कि क्या हुआ इसमें इश्यू व्हाट हैपेंड मतलब वो सब आई बिलीव आई हैड वो एग्जाम के आई बिलीव 15 डेज पहले आई गेव अ मॉक एंड एक मॉक में आई स्कोर्ड सम 280 समथिंग out of 360 which is very good score in IPMAT and suddenly the very next mock I scored a 180 and हमें मतलब मैंने जितने भी मॉक्स दिए थे आई नेवर स्कोर्ड बिलो 200 तो अचानक से 15 डेज बिफोर द एग्जाम इतना ड्रास्टिक ड्रॉप फ्रॉम ए 280 टू अ 180 वो थोड़ा हिट हुआ था कि करना पड़ेगा व्हाट इज हैपनिंग बट आई बिलीव दैट मॉक इटसेल्फ उसमें फुल एनालाइज किया कि क्या इश्यू हो रहा है लिखने में इश्यू हो रहा है कि बड़ा बड़ा लिख नहीं रहा तो मैं 6 को 9 वेरी मतलब माइन्यूट एरर्स समथिंग विच इज वेरी मतलब इजीली मतलब अच्छा कर सकते हैं कि वो नहीं होगा बट इट इज समथिंग दैट यू गेट फ्रॉम द मॉक्स इटसेल्फ वो सब वो आई थिंक उस दिन बैठे थे और मेरे पेरेंट्स ने थोड़ा थोड़ा काउंसलिंग भी किया कि हो जाएगा वैसा इश्यू नहीं है ये छोटी मिस्टेक्स ही है एंड इट इज उसके बाद के सारे मॉक्स में एंश्योर कि वो छोटी छोटी मिस्टेक्स नहीं हो रही एंड फॉर्चुनेटली एग्जाम पेपर में एटलीस्ट मैंने वो वापस रिव्यू किया था पेपर कि एक्चुअल कितने आ सकते थे बट आई सॉ कि ठीक है सभी मिस्टेक्स एंड दैट इज समथिंग दैट आई एम वेरी प्राउड ऑफ कि ठीक है दैट इज आई कुड गिव माय बेस्ट ऑन द डूम डे
That's great, yeah. In fact, we talked about you talked about Rodha's content on YouTube, right?
राइट
So during the phase that you mentioned, कि यार एक mock में like you got a score below 200, that is close to 180, right? So watching those Rodha videos, right, for your preparation, did those videos help you emotionally and mentally too, building that confidence and having that.
I believe Ravi sir ka every class, the reason that I would partially look forward to it कि वो फुल हंसाते थे फुल मतलब मस्ती मजाक भी होती थी along with proper एकदम serious studies so I think that blend that he had in the classes that is something that थोड़ा lightened the heart of sorts कि थोड़े बैड मूड में भी हो बट वीडियो देख रहे हो तो यू रवि सर थोड़ी देर में कोई तो किसी को रोस्ट या समथिंग लाइक दैट तो आई थिंक वो रवि सर का जो पढ़ाने का स्टाइल है दी वे ही गोज अबाउट एक्सप्लेनिंग द कंसेप्ट बीच बीच में किसी को भी मतलब डांट दिया मतलब मजाक में तो आई थिंक दैट थोड़ा वो इमोशनली आई थिंक थोड़ा अच्छा था कि हाँ मजा आई क्लास भी देखा मतलब सारे कंसेप्ट भी समझे बट मजा भी आई आई थिंक दैट फैक्टर वाज थोड़ा इमोशनली supportive.
That's nice, yeah. In fact, when we are talking today, like having this podcast on Rodha's IPMAT channel, right? I think आज हम भी वही मिशन लेके आए हैं कि we get to tell people about IPMAT, we get to tell people about what kind of course it is and how you can prepare, how you can strategize for such examinations. When you get low scores, how can you get motivated about this particular exam, about your preparation, right? So
Yes.
I think that is one of our objectives of having this discussion today, that larger and larger audience get to know about कि ऐसा भी कोई एग्जाम होता है, which is very good. You get direct entry into IIMs, a good IIM और all other IIMs as well, जहाँ पर you get to learn a lot of things which you usually do not learn usually in other graduation colleges
Right.
which we see around, right? So people who would be watching this video right now, who are unsure about IPM, what would you like to say to them?
If you're unsure about IPM, I believe the logical approach is to get to know IPM. A lot of my friends had studied for the exam, but they did not know what exactly the curriculum had. So I think getting through the curriculum, seeing their website, going through what exactly their teaching method, their philosophy is, how they're going about it. I think going through that will get you some sorts of clarity as to whether you want to go about IPM or not. Secondly, there is an unsurety of whether I'll be able to crack it or not. This is the course related unsurety कि इसमें जाना है कि नहीं, but मिलेगा कि नहीं वाला भी unsurety होता है. For that, I believe वो self belief चाहिए, and that would not come without proper hard work. I have seen people वो motivational videos की believe in yourself etc. But that belief does not come on empty hard work. सिर्फ बोल दिया अपने आप को हाँ हाँ I believe in myself. I do not personally feel कि that is the right approach to go about it. Even
Correct.
if you have low self belief, hard work करो, you'll see the results, you'll see कि हाँ questions बन रहे हैं, you'll actually get मतलब वो interest for the subject, and that in turn will lead to वो self belief creation, which will motivate you to work harder, and that creates a virtuous cycle of sorts. So that would be my advice for people who are unsure about whether to get into IPM. पहले put in the hard work, then you'll be sure कि you'll get into IPM. Is something that I could say.
No, that's really great, yeah. In fact, since we talked a lot about your preparation, IPMAT preparation, I also happen to recall one of the incidences that happened during my interview at IIM Indore for this particular program. But before that, I would love to know about your experience, your interview experience when you went to the campus, probably to
Hmm.
have interview for this particular examination for this particular course.
Yes, sir. So, in my interview, I believe, was thoda alag from what usually people interviews have. What I went to the transcripts of past year seniors, उनका देखा था. So there was a clear trend कि ठीक है, IP मैट है. You're right after 12th, so they do not rigorously test you on कि वो HR questions उतना नहीं पूछते. They usually go for academics. देख लेते हैं कि you're able to communicate well, you're able to impress them or not. वो थोड़ा देखते हैं, थोड़ा GK पूछ, थोड़ा current affairs पूछ, and that is the end of the interview. That is what how usual interviews go. But मेरा interview was, I believe, the polar opposite of that. I went in, and वो सर ने देखा कि ये मतलब उसका 10th में भी 97 है, 12th में भी 97 है, तो ये ही probably उसको टेस्ट करते हैं थोड़ा. तो माइन वाज अ स्ट्रेस इंटरव्यू. तो व्हाट दे डिड वाज कि स्टार्टिंग में ही उन्होंने पूछा कि वो फोल्डर दीजिए, एंड वो सब फोल्डर वो दे सॉ दी पान कार्ड देयर. तो ही वाज लाइक पान कार्ड का फुल फॉर्म क्या. नाउ I didn't know the full form there. So the very first question I expected going in कि हाँ ये पूछेंगे कि tell me about yourself. I had all of that wrote learned. But the very first question that they threw at me, what is the full form of PAN card? And I did not know that. I said कि नहीं पता sir, sorry. And then he was like, since he knew कि I didn't know the full form of PAN card, then he went on to ask me about PAN card का usage क्या होता है and all. So I knew कि थोड़ा taxation purposes के लिए होता है, and that is what I said. And then he was like, "Are you sure? सिर्फ taxation purpose के ही होता है?" And he थोड़ा grilled me on that. And I couldn't एकदम confidently answer कि हाँ यही होता है. I said कि sorry sir, that is all I know. So it all started with थोड़ा grilling, and he went on to ask questions about Indore. वो थोड़ा competitions. I had won a competition in Indore itself. So he went on to ask about that. वो थोड़ा मेरा comfortable area था. But as soon as he figured out कि I'm being comfortable, so he would randomly bring up questions कि do you know about Yoga Day? So when was it institutionalized? How many years has been the Yoga Day going on? So random questions just to make sure कि you're unable to answer, and possibly get you into that वो stress वाला mode where you're going मतलब next part of the interview also you'll mess up just because you were under stress. Fortunately, the training that I had taken for the interviews, they had prepared me for this exact situation, so I could stay calm there. I knew कि ठीक है stress test कर लेने दो, And second part of the interview was basic academic questions that I could answer fully because I was calm under pressure. Had I been stress tested और उसमें stress में आ जाता कि इतने questions नहीं है अब इंदौर नहीं होगा, probably had I gotten into that mindset that day there, I wouldn't have been able to answer वो वाले academic questions, and that is what exactly they were possibly testing कि is he able to answer the normal questions after being stress tested. So I do feel कि वो I could do well on that and that, and that is something again that I'm proud of कि हाँ I could manage those stress.
That's true. That's true. In fact, in those kind of interviews, usually what they try to test is your confidence, is to test
Right.
how you well you tackle those kind of stress situations, rather than testing your academic knowledge and all those things. Because your scores in class 10th and 12th and whatever certificates that you present in your file are the testament to whatever you have already done, whatever you know,
Right, sir.
right? But putting you into those situations, ऐसी चीज पूछ लो, ऐसे randomly पूछ लो which you do not expect, right? Out of the blue, out of the box question कि how well you respond to that question, whether or not you know the answer. That is the thing I think that matters the most. In fact, I also recall one of the instances from my interview when they asked me basics about me, about where I live, and a bit of GK questions and all those things. Then in the second part, when they came to academics, they started with asking me what all things that I studied, what all subjects I studied in class 11 and 12. Right? They made me very comfortable with asking कि अच्छा क्या पढ़ा है and everything, basic questions. Then they asked me, "Acha, which is the subject that you like the most?" Right? So at that time I was very good with maths, right?
Hmm.
That was my favorite subject, right? And I scored pretty well in the examination, also in the QA section, quant section. So I was immediately like, कि यार चलो ठीक है, they're going to ask a question from my favorite subject. I immediately said कि हाँ, maths is my favorite subject. Then they asked me, "Acha, what all chapters, what all topics that I studied in class 11 and 12 in maths?" I told them the topics that I could remember that time. Then they asked me, "Which is the topic that you like the most?"
हाँ.
I was like, okay, they're trying to make me very very comfortable
Hmm.
कि चलो ठीक है, एक बार एक कंफर्ट जोन में लाते हैं फिर देखेंगे, राइट?
Right, sir.
So I quickly thought of all the topics, and I thought कि यार of course they're going to ask me a question from that topic. So I chose the topic which was the easiest for me till that time, and I knew it really well. I wouldn't name the topic, but I said, "Kya so and so topic." Okay. So then they asked me a question on that topic, which I never even heard of. Like the concept, I never even heard of that concept before. I did my class 11, class 12. I scored well in both the classes, and question coming from my favorite subject, an easy topic, a favorite topic, a
Right.
question that I haven't even thought of in the 2 years at in school. And I was like, what? Then I had to seek a clarification on that.
Hmm.
They clarified the question, then and I was able to answer.
Right.
Then again asked another question which was somewhat similar, but again I had no idea because they wanted to put me in that stress situation कि अच्छा ठीक है, if something comes out of the blue, out of the box, whether or not I'm able to apply something, right? Okay, then maths went by. ठीक है, okay.
जी sir.
Then they asked me, अच्छा ठीक है, मैथ्स हो गया, आपका फेवरेट चीज हो गई है, व्हाट इज योर नेक्स्ट फेवरेट सब्जेक्ट?
Right, sir.
आई वाज लाइक ओके, ठीक है, चलो मैथ्स में आई परफॉर्म्ड एवरेज, above average, but not very very good. Then I quoted another subject and they started asking me questions which I was like, I had no clue about.
Right, sir.
But that moment, that experience had stayed with me till now because I learned a lot from that experience, from the interview that I had with IPM Indore. I am Indore for the IPM program. That of course you need not to know everything, but
Right, sir.
how composed you are, how calm you are in those situations, how well, how quickly you can take decisions for yourself. That is something that really helps you a lot in all those interviews as well.
Right,
But
sir.
on that note, I think we have covered a lot of things today, Shrenik. But before we wrap, let's have a quick fun round of questions,
Sure, sir.
like I kind of had during my interview, and you must have had during your interview. So I would start with a question similar to what was asked to me. What was your favorite section in IP,
I believe it was BA, sir. English.
and what was the most hated topic
Topic in English.
in any of the sections, probably?
In English, it was parajumbles. You could never get it right, even if you had, say, even if you spent 2 minutes or 30 minutes, a parajumble that you couldn't get right, you wouldn't get right. In maths, my least favorite topic was geometry. It was because of the number of formulas that you had to learn and the smallest things of that you had to remember in order to score in the exam, and especially drawing, the ability to construct in geometry. Say the figure is there, but you don't know how to possibly solve it. वो construct कर दिया, फिर you could solve it. So I think that facet of it is something that I least preferred, sir.
That's nice. Shrenik, of course, like you dreamt of IIM Indore, you dreamt of IPM. You scored a you secured a very good rank. But let's say if not IIM Indore,
Hmm.
right? Of course, we are just talking about hypothetical
Yes.
situation now that you are going to IIM Indore. But if not IIM Indore, what was the backup plan? Like
My backup plan
what would
was
you have
I
done?
am Ranchi at first because I believe uska cutoff is usually lower than that of Indore. So, assuming I didn't get into Indore, there was a very good chance I would get into Ranchi. I'd also given other exams like JIPMAT for IIM Bodhgaya and Jammu, and I'd also given CUET, the Common Undergraduate Entrance Test. So I could possibly get into some college through that exam as well. So I had my backup options open, but the main focus again was Indore itself.
Okay, and since you prepared for quite a long time for this particular examinations, from your experience, what is that one thing that aspirants should stop doing?
Stop doing, I think there are a lot of things that you should stop doing. Firstly, in terms of lifestyle ish, please stop watching shorts or reels. The attention span really takes a hit. That is one thing that would be in the first advice. In terms of preparation, I think stop doing would be to solve sums casually. Let's say you're given a sum, solve it as if you're solving it in the actual exam, and not just for the sake of solving ki, हाँ, you're taking uh, 10 minutes, even for a sum that is 30 seconds, 45 seconds. And it is that the speed and accuracy which actually matters in the exam. So cultivating that from the very word go is very crucial in my regard. So not stopping stopping to do sums casually for the sake of doing it, rather keeping a timer, say 45 sums karne hai, to keeping a 1 hour timer and doing it under time pressure is something that I advise.
That's some brilliant stuff, I would say, Shrenik. So one just one final question. What's that one tip or mindset shift जो सबसे ज्यादा हेल्प करेगा आईपीएमएट 2026 के एस्पिरेंट्स को?
Could you give me a moment, sir? I believe it's one tip, so I'd like to get it the best.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, sir. So I believe it is a rather cliche advice, but consistency is the real key, sir. Even if you're not able to put 4 to 5 hours every day, but it is all about getting to, मतलब having कि हाँ आईपी मैट है in the back of your mind. It's like आज खाना नहीं खाया तो it's आईपी मैट आज नहीं किया तो वो करना है, and that is something which is really necessary in the long run, because वो एक then you're studying 10 hours, next week you're not studying IPM, and that does not really matter. It is all about the consistency that you're putting and in the right direction, which of course Rodha would provide. So consistency in the right direction, I believe, would be the recipe for cracking IPM.
That's nice, yeah. And I think that's a mic drop moment right there.
Yes.
So thank you so much for being such a grounded and inspiring guest
Thank you, sir.
for today's episode. And for everyone watching out there, share this video with someone जिसको अभी तक आईपीमेट के बारे में या तो क्लैरिटी नहीं है, एंड डू वॉच आवर आईपीमेट चैनल, क्योंकि यहाँ पर ऐसी ऐसी स्टोरीज मिलती हैं विच कैन एक्चुअली चेंज द डायरेक्शन ऑफ योर प्रेपरेशन. एंड इनफैक्ट ऑल द बेस्ट टू यू टू श्रेनिक for the amazing journey at IIM Indore, and to you all for the one that starts today. Thanks a lot for joining us today. Goodbye. Have a good night.
Thank you.